Hello, hello, hello. I am Silver Hypnosis, and today is November 9th, 2024, and this is kind of like a vlog update. So I haven't really been posting in a while. It's been more than a month, because I got a new job. I've been doing that. Honestly, there's not a whole bunch to say. I just don't really have any ideas anymore. Like, I feel like I've done everything at this point. It's really frustrating, I guess, where I'm in a place now where I don't really have anything to make. That's what it feels like. I feel like I've done every idea. I've seen every horizon, and there's just nothing left. Because you know, people are helpful. They're always like, when I say that, they're always like, "Oh, what about these ideas?" And I'm like, "Well, I already did that idea 2.5 years ago or something. Here's the video." And it's always kind of like, there's nothing left. Because I know some people would literally listen to the same video if I re-released it every single day. And I guess that's good. But for me, it's always boring. Because, I don't know the best way to put this. It's just kind of like, I don't want to do an idea again if the idea has already been done by me, if I haven't, found a way to improve it in some way, I guess. If I can do an idea that I did before better, like all the videos where I did years and years ago where I was using my old audio setup, and I'm like, okay, I can improve these by doing better audio. Those I can redo, or if I can change the concept somewhat, those I can do. But, unless I can do those things, I don't like redoing the same video over and over. It's just boring to me. It's just not interesting. It's just not worth doing, in my mind, which is kind of the antithesis of YouTube and media online these days, where everyone just recontextualizes their old work over and over again and calls it something new. They stitch it together to make a 6-hour video, or they chop it into 10-minute or 1-minute clips, and that's their whole channel now. And I'm just like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. I also don't really vibe with the wider hypnosis community. It's good that time changes things. It's good when communities move forward and they don't become stagnant, but it's most of the hypnosis community has been cannibalized by the ASMR community, where most of it's now done in, I guess, the ASMR style is the way to put it, where you have people doing personas, and you have people on camera, and you have people doing or making it, I should say, all about them. And that just never really vibed with me. I don't like being the center of my work. I don't like using it in the way that they do. I don't want it to be about what I'm doing. A lot of my work in the scriptural, in the scripting realm, comes down to what the person listening is going to feel, what they're going to experience, what they're going to, do, etc. It's not about what I'm doing. I very consciously move the power center from me to the person listening. A lot of hypnosis is based around the hypnotist convincing the subject that they have abilities they don't. So, the stage hypnotists and stuff like that convince the audience to accept suggestions on the idea that they can do a thing. And so that makes it possible for suggestions to enter people's subconsciouses. But I don't like doing that. I don't want to make it about me, because I'm just a dude. There's nothing I do that anyone else can do, or can't do. Anyone else could use the scripts that I write, record them the same way, and produce results. It's not special. Nothing I do is unique in that regard. I like to think that my work is different than most of the other people's work in terms of tone and in terms of the way I structure things, but in terms of how it works, it's exactly the same. I'm not charting new neurological ground here, but a lot of what I do is about removing myself from the focus, I guess. And I just don't feel comfortable making myself the focus. I don't really feel comfortable putting myself in the center. And that's sort of why I haven't really moved into a lot of hypnosis spaces. So like there's a lot of hypnosis spaces out there, but most of them are very hypersexual. And that doesn't gel with me. Like, I'm asexual, I'm autistic, and I'm just not interested in endless posts about people being used as like sexual objects. It's just not interesting. To me, it always felt like the big problem in a lot of hypnosis spaces, or at least hypnosis when we talk about kink or erotica, is it's just vanilla sex with extra steps for so many people. For so many people, hypnosis is just like vanilla sex with extra steps. Like, that's it. It's just, oh, I've made you willing to have sex with me. There's no interest there for me. There's no draw to that. It's just boring to me to see the same thing over and over. And again, most people are not like that. Most people are not asexual. Most people are perfectly okay with that, because what they want is the setup plus the payoff. What they want is the setup of, I have made this person want to fuck me, and then getting to that. And to me, that's just the same thing over and over again. Like, there's nothing interesting there. There's also the problem of, like, I have aphantasia. So what that is you don't have the ability to visualize things. And I didn't know that this was a thing until very recently. Apparently, when people say daydreaming, that's not just a figure of speech. Because for me, it is. Like, when people talk about daydreaming, like they close their eyes and can see things. I can't. Never have. When I close my eyes, it's darkness. And I can see the, like, electron light on the back of my eyelids. Like, there's literally nothing going on. There's no visualization there. I just don't have that ability. So it's like a lot of my work probably comes off that way, where it's all very structured and very, for, I guess, lack of a better term, not static, or like, it's just very bland, I guess, because there's, like, I don't visualize things. I don't have any ability to visualize things. So I don't really see anything. Like, if you say close your eyes and visualize an apple, I don't see anything. Like, my thoughts are like, okay, well, it's this size, and it comes from a tree, and it tastes like this. But there's no, like, there's no visual appearance in my brain. Like, there isn't. Like, I have zero ability to visualize. Like, at all. And I don't know. Apparently this is not a thing for people. Apparently most people can see things. Apparently most people can daydream. I can't. So it's always, to me, been kind of a struggle to replicate a lot of this stuff, because I'm kind of moving uphill. But also I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't gel with most of the community. Like, a lot of the community has pivoted either towards, like, the ASMR stuff, like I said, or they've pivoted towards very individual-centric stuff. So, like, Ninja, Ultra Hypnosis, all the big guys have mostly pivoted towards it being about them and the connection, like the parasocial relationship between hypnotist and subject, and it's just not fun for me, but it's also very hard, because, like, I don't know, I've seen this kind of person when I go into hypnosis spaces, where they're like, I want anyone to hypnotize me, I want anyone to do things to me, and it's just boring to me. Like, a lot of people are just very submissive, I find, in this space, where they want someone to tell them what to do, they want someone to, like, do everything for them, and to me, that's just boring. Like, it's stressful. I don't want to, like, you know, people, they're always fascinated by, like, the drone, the slave, the bimbo, and I'm just like, that's just so much work. That's just so much effort. I have no interest in that. Just none. Just no interest in having to be, like, a parent for somebody else. Like, no thank you. I just don't have that interest. But it's also just not very challenging. Like, I enjoy a challenge. I enjoy working with people who are very hard to work with, like, hypnosis-wise. Because, to me, that gives me something to, like, work, like, to do. It gives me a challenge to work on. It's not interesting to have to work with somebody who's very easily hypnotized, in my experience. It just isn't. It's just, like, you know, I like the struggle. I like the back and forth. I like having to edit what I do. I like having to change what I do to fit somebody else's, preferences. It's not easy for me to get interested if the other person is just into it all the time. It's just like, it's just boring. It's just not very, like, appealing to me. I don't know. The more, like, I don't know. I think part of this is just why I would never, like, move into the work with people state. There have been a rise in channels that do nothing but work with people, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But, like, I don't know, like, how they do it. I'm not very comfortable in social spaces. I'm not very, like, outgoing, and so I'm not the kind of person to just cold message people and be like, hey, can I work with you? Can we set a date and a time? I'm just not that kind of person. I'm just not somebody who, like, could ever do that. I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess. I don't know. Again, maybe it's the autism, maybe it's the asexuality, I don't know. I just don't find most of the stuff very interesting. I guess that's just kind of what colors everything for me. Like, if people ask me what the color that represents my work currently is, it's gray. Or everything's just kind of meh. Like, I don't really have anything that I can do to make it better in my mind. I don't really have anything new to give to anyone. I don't really have anything, like, to say, basically. I don't really have anything to, like, put out there that I'm like, oh yeah, this is new and different. And I don't really work with anybody. Like, I think people have this idea in their head that I work with lots of people, and I don't. I never have. Like, I think on top of my head, I've worked with maybe 6 people in the time that I've had this channel. Total. Like, maybe 6 people worked with regularly, which by work with, I mean, like, have interacted with for, like, more than a week. So no more than 6, probably, that I can remember. And it's just because, I don't know, most people don't come to me, and I don't feel comfortable going to them, and I don't like making things that can be used by people to make them hurt people, basically. Like, there was a huge problem in the community 5, 6, more than that at this point. Like, maybe it's 10 years ago now, actually. No, more like 8. More like 8 years ago, probably. Where people would just take other people's videos and then send them to people and be like, this is mine. And, like, abuse them, basically. And so I made it very clear, or I tried to make it very clear, that I wouldn't do that, and also that people couldn't use my files for that, because it really upset me that people were doing that. I knew I should have expected it, but I didn't expect people to be that underhanded, I guess. I was naive. And so, like, that's why one of the things I do is I don't, like, message people first. I always let them message me, because that way people don't believe that anyone who claims to be me is me, because it's so outside of my behavior. Like, if somebody's messaging you first, claiming they're me, they're not. Because I don't message people first. I just don't. So, like, that's the only way I could think to stop it. is to basically make it so that everybody should know right away that somebody acting like me who is not me is not acting like me through their behavior. And I guess I'm just kind of in this place now where I don't know if there's a place for me in this community. I don't know if there's a place for me moving forward in this community. I don't know if, like, I have anything more to give, I guess. Like, I have no ideas, and I don't know what else to do. And, like, there's no really anywhere else to go with this. I don't know. That's just how it feels. Like, TikTok's TikTok, and it's not a great place for my work, because my work is always long. Like, this video right here, this vlog, where I'm talking about things that are a struggle to me, is not going to be on TikTok, because it can't fit. It has to be under 10 minutes. And to me, you can't do things effectively under 10 minutes most of the time. It's very hard to do things in the way that I do them in that period of time. It just doesn't work. Like, I could never express myself in that short period of time in audio. It's just I can't do it. Like, to me, I imagine most people find that I'm overly wordy, that I'm overly verbose. And the thing about that is that that's intentional. Like, I'm overly verbose because I want to be precise. And I really hate people that don't understand what I'm trying to get across. Like, I don't have patience to deal with people who can't understand me, I guess. Or I should better say that I don't like to be misunderstood. And when people have misunderstandings, it bothers me, personally. Like, it bothers that I'm not conveying myself correctly. And so, like, that's probably the autism. But, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of... It's not burnout, because it's not like I don't have passion for it. It's just I don't know what to do, Like, I've never really made something ready for mass production. And I don't work with anybody, so I don't really have any, like... I don't really bounce anything off people. And most people just aren't really, like, interesting to work with, in my experience, I guess. Like, there are people who will message me and will say the most absurd stuff to me. I think my favorite example of this is I had somebody who emailed me cold and said, "Put me in my cock cage." And I went, why would I answer that? It's boring. It's like overly sexual and it's boring. It's like not interesting. Like, I don't care about that. Like, why did you think I would? First of all, but why would you, like, think that you just jump right into that? I don't know. It's weird, I guess. I think as I grow older, I become less comfortable with this stuff rather than more. Like, at this point, I'm 34. I'm in my mid-30s, and, like, I don't feel comfortable just, like, working with people who are, like, 20. Like, it's just weird to me. Like, I don't feel comfortable, like, doing a lot of the things that most people do these days. I don't really gel with the over-sexualization. I don't gel with the, like, parasocial relationship building. I don't really gel with the way people are just extremely forward in ways that are dull to me, I guess. I don't know. To me, I don't know. I think this makes me the reverse of many men, in my experience, just talking to them. Like, when I talk to guys, most of them want a kind of, like, not openness, but they want directness. Like, most dudes want a woman who's always down. And I'm just like, that sounds so boring. Just to me, it just sounds so boring. Most men are like, oh yeah, I want a woman who always does what she's told. And I'm just like, that's boring. It's not fun. This is not what I want. I do not want, like, I don't know. It's very weird. It's very hard to live, it's very hard to understand other people for me. I just don't get them. I just don't get how people are people. I don't get why people want a subject that always does what they're told. That's just, the fuck? Sorry, apparently there's people above me that constructing something. I don't know. Back to what I was talking about. I don't know. I just don't gel with things. I just don't get along with most of the other people who are in my age bracket, I guess. To me, in really in this community, I guess, where, like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like so many subs, like submissives or subjects, really want to be told what to do all the time. Like, that's their fantasy. To have their, like, to not have to think about things, not have to do things, not have to worry about things. And that's all fine and good, I guess. But I don't like to be, or don't want to be, somebody's parent. That's not my interest. Like, I'm not particularly, like, interested in being super close with people, I guess. Like, I'm 34 and I'm a virgin, and I'm okay with that. Like, it doesn't bother me. Because I'm asexual. It doesn't bother me. Most of the stuff that people do in real life grosses me out to no end. Like, it's just weird to me. And so, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable in a lot of the spaces. And I don't work with anyone. And I just don't, like, I don't know. I guess this is what people in, like, therapy language would call having a support structure. And at least in terms of, like, my hypnosis work, I don't have one. Like, it doesn't exist. And maybe that's fine. Maybe it's okay to not have one, but it also makes, you know, a lot of things very hard because I don't know where to go. Like I've tried to enter other communities and it's just very off-putting. It's just not fun. It's not even like a like judgment thing. It's not like I'm like, oh, you're bad or anything. It's not that. It's more like, okay, let me give a hypothetical. It's like you go into somebody's Discord server, and the first thing you see are people posting furry art of somebody being brainwashed and having like fucked. And my reaction to that is not like, oh, that's wrong. It's just like, it's just dull. It's just like, okay, it's just not interesting. It's not, I don't get anything from that. There's no interest there. It actively kills my interest, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if anyone has had this problem where, like, you've ever enjoyed something and then the way other people enjoy it kills your enjoyment. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, imagine if you were a sports team fan. Like, you were a fan of, I don't know. I need to think of a team. I don't know. I can't even think of a team right now. Like, okay, the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the first team that I pulled out of my head. Like, imagine if you were a fan of the Eagles, right? Or at least you liked them. And then you went to you went to a game and you saw somebody who was painted green and white. And your first reaction is that was, maybe I don't enjoy this. Like, it killed your enjoyment just seeing that person. You're not against them. You're not mad. Like, you're not unhappy about them. You're just like, maybe this isn't for me. You're not like, oh man, that person's bad. That person's wrong. That's not what you're thinking. You're like, I just don't enjoy it as much as they do or in the way that they do. So this isn't for me, I guess. And that's how I feel going to a lot of spaces. Like, going into a lot of people's spaces just feels to me like that feeling. Like, I don't enjoy it the way you do, and I have no way to, like, fix that. And some people have said things to me like, oh, why don't you have your own Discord server? And I did for a while. But the problem is I'm not social by nature. I don't really like interacting with people. I don't really have a huge amount of energy to do social things. And so, like, it's exhausting for me just to talk to people. So it's like, I'm never, like, I'm just never around. Like, I tried, like, okay, I made one, but making one creates obligations. Like, you have to moderate the fucking thing, which means you have to look at what everyone's doing. You have to constantly, interact with people, make sure they're not, like, doing anything wrong. You have to, like, talk to people. And it's just very not fun, I guess. It's just exhausting. And then for me, it's like, okay, you stopped looking at it one day and 5 months goes by, So it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if there's a solution, because most people would, like, say that the solution is to stop being you. They're like, well, if you can't complain about something if you're not going to do the things that would solve the problem. And it's like, yeah, but the things that would solve the problem would make the problem worse. Like, the problems that they would create solving the problem are worse than the problem I have. To put it bluntly, it's somewhat like the price of a car, or the price to fix the car is more than the car's worth, so why are you fixing it? That's kind of how I feel right now. It's just very despondent. Very, very worn down, very bored, very uncertain of what I'm going to do moving forward. I would like to move forward. I would like to find a new spark, but it's just kind of like deflating, where I feel like I don't fit in the modern community. I don't feel like I have a place here. I don't feel like it's tailored, or it's not tailored to my needs, but it feels like it's not geared towards my style of enjoyment. And there's no real ability to fix that. It's kind of like if you were into disco and then disco's dead. Like, you're into it and then the vibe changes and you're still into it, but nobody else is. So it's like, all right, I guess there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't know. I'm just not just not vibing, I guess. And I don't really know what to do to fix it. So, I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe if I was more, like, confident, maybe if I was more, like, open to using my real face in stuff, maybe if I was just making, like, TikToks that are vibes based and not actually about hypnosis, I would be better off, you know? But it's just, you know, there's a bunch of people who, like, I think represent a good good examples of like what is successful right now. So like The Secret Subject is a great example of putting yourself out there and creating the space you want to see. Hypnotic Aphrodite is a great example of building a community around yourself and vibes. And I just don't have that. Like I don't have the ability or spark to do that. I just don't, you know, I just don't feel a reason or need to do it. Like I could never go on like TikTok and record like a minute long video where I'm just like, you know, people when they're hypnotized be like, and just make that. To me, that's just boring. Just not interesting, you know? Like, because again, like I don't really have anything I want from people. This is the thing, like, I think so many people who are hypnotists get off, or at least are looking for the energy from other people. Like they enjoy the interactions. They get satisfaction from people going to them specifically and wanting things from them. And I don't. Like people who come to me, and I think I've disappointed more than a few people who have wanted to work with me because I'm like, okay, what do you want? And they're like, anything you want. And that just makes me check out because I'm not interested in looking for a child. I'm not looking for like a pet. I'm not looking to be like a dog owner. I'm not looking to be a parent. Okay, that's not interesting. It's not fun. It's just stressful. I don't have any interest in that. Like, and maybe that just makes me kind of a squish. Maybe that's just not what people want. Maybe what people want is the alpha sigma male or whatever who's really direct and really wants to be like forward with people. But that's just not me. That's just not who I am. I'm not interested in becoming that person. So it's like, I don't know. I think, you know, when people say, what's your ideal? I think that's the other thing. It's like, what is your ideal? And I would say that my ideal is a, like, I don't want to say it, well, this kind of boils over into like what you want from an ideal partner kind of thing. Like, what would you want for an ideal subject? And it's like a self-assured, hard-working woman who knows what she wants. Like, literally the single hardest thing you'd probably get, you know? And I'm not talking about, like, you know, like, it's not even, like, a sexual thing. It's more like, I want to be able to ask, what do you need? And for them to know. Like, to them to give me an answer, basically. Like, I would love to be in a situation where it's like, okay, I can do these things, and I will come up with ways to do them, and I will solve problems, but I'm, like, I don't want to have to, like, play babysitter, you know? I don't want to have to, you know, sit around and do that, and that's probably why I don't make videos that are, like, into other sub-fetishes, I guess. Like, I get a lot of requests for videos that are, like, ABDL, or, like daddy videos, or videos that are very hyper specific towards slave stuff, and to me it's just, I don't know, boring. Like, I don't know what to do with those. Actually, speaking of slave videos, this is one problem I have with brainwashing videos, because I don't have any ideas of what to do. Like, what do you do next? It's the, like, hypnosis porn is just vanilla sex with extra steps problem. Like, what do you do? You know, like, okay, you've brainwashed them to accept your commands, but you don't have any commands to give. So, what do you do? You know, like, what do you tell them to do? What is there to do? You can't really tell them, like, you can tell them to make comments, you can tell them to, like, clean their house and shit, but it's just like, what else do you do? It's like when you're asexual and you're not looking for, like, nudes, if you're not looking for personal, like, gratification, what do you do? What do you ask for? You know? Like, part of my problem is that I'm self-actualized in the sense of, like, I don't like having to deal with other people all the time, and I don't feel a need to. I'm not, like, I'm not lonely is the problem. Maybe if I was lonely, this would be easier. Like, maybe if I was like, yeah, you know, I need these things and I want them, it would be easier, but I don't feel that. I don't feel lonely. I don't feel like I'm missing anything, if that makes sense. Like, I think part of the reason I don't identify with other men is that a lot of men feel lonely and they feel like they need sex, and to me, that's just not me. Like, I've never felt that I needed a partner, and I've never felt like I needed sex. And I don't particularly care for having it, and I don't want it, and I don't care about it. It's just not a thing for me. It's never bothered me. It's never been like, oh yeah, you have to go and get married. You have to go and have sex and have kids. It's like, no, not really. And the older I get, the less I care about it. Like, I'm 34. Like I said, I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm not interested in having to, like, I don't know. That sort of mentality is very childish to me, I guess. Like, I would much rather, I think at this point, work with somebody who is, like, 28 and has a job and, like, wants to be a middle manager than somebody who is in their 20s in college and doesn't know what they want to do. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I'm getting old, and I've always kind of been old, but I just don't feel like I'm connecting with people, or that people are the kinds of people I want to connect with. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to, like, stimulate my creativity without this. I just feel very bored, very listless, very uncreative. And I'm really sorry for, like, all the people who love my work, because I really wish I was doing more to, like, make you guys happy, but I just don't know what to do. I know most of you would just be like, anything you produce, we'll watch, and I'm glad for that, but I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to make. I'm just kind of, like, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know where to go community-wise that will, give me inspiration. I just feel very done, I guess. I don't want to be done. Like, I still want to make things. I just don't know what I want to make. I don't really have a lot of passion in the places I want to have passion. I don't know. It's like trying to keep embers from going out, I guess, is how I feel at the moment. I don't know. Maybe if I was younger and I was more, like, afraid, maybe if I was unhappy, I would be better, I guess. Like, maybe if I was miserable, things would be easier, I guess is the way to put it. Like, maybe if I was like, oh man, I need to do these things to get these things. Delusional, yes, but, it would motivate me, I guess, compared to now where I have no motivation to be like anyone else. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. I know this has been a long, rambling video. I mostly just put it because I needed to get my thoughts out, and I've been putting it off for like a month. So these are my thoughts. This is where my head's at. I'm hoping I can get some more work done, but I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't figured it out yet. So that's all for now. See y'all later.